Everybody, welcome back to D Rich Spirits. I hope everybody had a great holiday and we're going to have an even better new year. But it is that time of year. We got to start rounding up, tasting, start placing what's our top 5 whiskeys of the year. So this is my top 5 Scotch of the year. I will be doing a bourbon video as well. But right now, we're going to start off with Scotch. Now, the criteria is simple. It is anything I've had this year. In this calendar year, it's what I've tasted that's new. It can't be something that I had last year. That, of course, I'm drinking last year's juice and juice from 10 years ago. But it's new juice to my palate this year. So these are some of the bottles. These are my top 5 bottles that fits that criteria. Not actually the best I've had, but we don't want to go over what we did last year. If you've seen my last year's video, you'll know what I'm talking about. So coming in at number 5, we are going to go to Islay. And it's going to be the Laphroaig PX cask. Now, this particular bottle, it has been in 3 different casks. So, of course, your regular ex-bourbon cask. Then they even aged it in the little quarter cask where it gets that really, really strong, concentrated funk. And then they finished it off in the PX sherry cask. Coming in at 48%. That's pretty high for Laphroaig, but we all like them high proof. This juice here, if you're a Laphroaig fan and you like that cherry cough drop flavor, it has more to it than that. It's more complex. Those triple caskings really did a good job, and that 48%, that little ABV bump, it really helps. So number 5 is the Laphroaig PX cask. They're right there. Now we're going for number 4. Number 4 on my list, also Islay. Spoiler alert, they're all Islay except for one. So I am a huge Islay fan, but number 4, Ardbeg. The Ardbeg Spectacular. The Ardbeg Spectacular is a beautiful port cask Ardbeg whiskey. It came in with a whole lot of hype because it's Ardbeg. I am an Ardbegian myself, as most of you are as well. But Ardbeg Spectacular, it's better my second time around. My first time, it was too muted. I didn't care for it. It was very light. It was almost like drinking a flat soda. That's what I thought of it. I came back to it maybe a month or 2 later, and it woke up. It had some oxygen in it, and it really surprised me. The ABV on this one right here is 46% ABV for this Ardbeg. It still doesn't drink a 46%. It does have the classic Ardbeg characteristics. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it just barely beat out number 5. But number 4 is the Ardbeg Spectacular. Now, we move to number 3. The only one on my list that is not an Islay Scotch. This bottle I actually procured this year. I got it this year, but it was released last year. It is a special release, a 2023 release, but I didn't grab it until 2024. So it does fit my criteria. This is the Tamdhu Distillers Art Edition. 14 years old. All 14 years spent in a sherry cask. This is barrel proof, so it's coming in at 61.8% ABV. I thought this was phenomenal. It was just drenched oranges, sweetness. It is a Speyside Scotch. I just was head over heels about it and thought it was phenomenal. Very rich in color, as you can see, spending all 14 years. That's a beautiful dram. You can imagine this color, how it tastes, right? Spending all 14 years in the sherry butt. That's number 3. Getting closer to number 2. Close to number 1. We are at number 2. We're going back to Islay. This Scotch here, this is the Lagavulin 12-year special release with the Don Julio aged in Don Julio barrels. I'm sorry. So this special release, of course, Lagavulin has been doing this now for a while. They have a special release every year. This was also released in 23. I bought the bottle in 24, of course, maybe February of 24. But this bottle here, it is cask strength, coming in at 56.4% ABV. It has spent its time aged in a Don Julio cask, not the full maturation, of course, ex-bourbon barrels, and then the Don Julio cask. My first thoughts when I had this, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. They tasted like two separate entities, right? It just the marriage was not there for me. And just like the Ardbeg, I let it sit. I came back to it. Of course, I'd already bought it, so I came back to it and said, let me give it another try. And it blew my socks off. I didn't think it would ever be a good mixing, Islay Scotch and Don Julio tequila. But it blew my socks off, and I've been sipping on it, throughout the year, and my friends have tasted it, and everybody thinks it's a phenomenal whiskey. I think they did a good job. They seen something I didn't see, because the first time I had it, I wanted to just toss it. But it did come around, and here we are. As a matter of fact, this is what's in this glass. So, time for the winner. My number one, Scotch of the year. And there won't be too much argument. It'll be a little argument, but you can't argue too much. We're going Islay Scotch again. We're going with the Octomore 15.2. The Octomore 15.2 is just, it's Octomore itself. It's hard to beat a good Octomore. It really is. The only thing that can really beat a good Octomore is another Octomore. So last year, 14.3 was my Scotch of the year. This year, it's the Octomore 15.2. This one has been aged in ex-bourbon barrels. It has been finished in the wine barrels, and then they both have 40-something% was in bourbon barrels, 40-something was in the wine barrels. They combined it all together and finished it in cognac barrels. The cognac barrels have really made a distinctive imprint on this whiskey. Octomore is already going to be Octomore, right? Octomore is just full body, in your face, peaty, smoky, but so much deliciousness, right? We love an overload of peat. It is amazing. So my number one whiskey of the year, 15.2 Octomore. Can't beat it. Let me know what you guys like, what your top five is. I'll be looking. Curious to what you think of my top five. Like I said, I've had a lot of the whiskeys this year, but this right here is what I bought and tasted for the first time in 2024. Until next time, guys, it's your man D Rich. Happy New Year.